Hey there, race fans. It's race day, top 5 with me, Frank 5. Richmond Raceway, the short track, the action track, where so much can happen. Crazy restarts, 3 and 4 wide, even for a short track. A lot of tire management, a lot of brake management in the race. And at the end of the night, one of the playoff drivers establishes himself with another win this season and puts himself in the conversation to contend against the top 2 in the playoffs and this entire season. Let's talk about the action that happened last night under the lights in Richmond. Number 1, Brad Keselowski, the driver of the number 2 Penske Ford, picks up his 4th win of the season, winning last night's Federated Auto Parts 400 at Richmond Raceway, winning it over Martin Truex Jr., his teammate Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, and Chase Elliott. Brad Keselowski was really solid. I mean, Brad Keselowski's been really good at Richmond for the most part. He hadn't won here in 6 years since that dominant win in 2014. Y'all remember what happened in that race. You remember a fan climbed a catch fence in turn 4 because he was drunk, but it was good for TV ratings and good views on social media and all that stuff. Brad Keselowski put together a dominant performance last night. And the night before, he told crew chief Jeremy Bullins, we have a great car. We're going to go. I've got complete confidence we're going to win Richmond the following night. And by golly, they did it. They led over 190-plus laps. They were just so strong from the get-go. Brad Keselowski, I don't think even left the top 5 for the most part. I mean, maybe early in the race he started outside the top 5, but other than that, Brad Keselowski was so strong last night. I mean, he has literally been putting together a very quiet but consistent season for the entire 2 team. Of course, Penske swapped all their crew chiefs before the season started. Brad Keselowski got paired with Jeremy Bullins, who was Ryan Blaney's crew chief. Joey Logano got Paul Wolfe, who was Brad Keselowski's crew chief, and Ryan Blaney got Todd Gordon, Joey Logano's crew chief over the years. Keselowski and Bullins have been quietly consistent this season. They've had really solid races. Of course, the first 2 wins this year, people say they were lucky because of the 9 cars misfortune. But the 3rd win really showed that they are a dominant force and that they can be a dominant race team, dominating Loudon, literally just putting together a clinic performance. He dominated, led the most laps, won the race, and ultimately got him in a contract extension to stay with Penske for another year next year in 2021. Brad Keselowski's last win last night sets a point to the rest of the competition. It's not just Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin. I'm here too, and I won a championship before, and I can compete with these guys. I can go up against Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin as many wins as they have. We have the team, and we have the cars to get the job done. And again, last night, their performance definitely showed that they are a force to be reckoned with. And last night's race, the tire compound that we have is similar to what we had at Loudon, as well as what we're going to have in the Championship 4 race at Phoenix this year. And if in the way that car ran last night, if Brad Keselowski makes it to the Championship 4, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, and whoever the 4th member is, watch out. Brad Keselowski is coming. And most likely with this win, Brad Keselowski has accumulated so much bonus points that this obviously locks him into the round of 12. But this will most likely help him get through the round of 12 because the last 2 years he's been in the playoffs. He got into the round of 12, and after that he got eliminated and didn't make it to the round of 8. This year I think it definitely changes, and he makes it to the round of 8, and possibly he'll be in the Championship 4 with Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin. Solid run for the 2 team last night. They're definitely showing themselves and showing everybody else that they are contenders and can compete for this title. Number 2, Martin Truex Jr. still searching for his 2nd win of the season with his new crew chief, James Small, but last night they put together a solid performance. Started off a little bit slow in the beginning, then they quickly worked their way up towards the front. They weren't really dominant last night, but they were probably like the 2nd or 3rd best car for the most part. They ran in the top 5 for most of stage 2 and the final stage. They were there for the most part of the night, but they just couldn't run down the 2 car in the long runs. They wasn't so good in the long runs. They were short runs. There was a couple times that Truex possibly could have run down the 2 car, but lap traffic got in the way, so that kind of killed his momentum to run down Brad Keselowski. But still, Truex, if he gets that 2nd win, watch out. He could also be a challenger to be competing for that 4th spot in the Championship 4 against Keselowski, against Harvick, against Hamlin, or against anybody else. Truex definitely put together a solid performance last night. He's also having a quiet, consistent season, although he's had a lot of top 3 finishes lately, with the exception of last week at Darlington, a race that he almost won but made a mistake. He was able to rebound this week with a solid night and a comfortable points margin going into the last race in the round of 16 this upcoming weekend. Martin Truex Jr. fans should be confident they should be just fine to make it into the round of 12. Number 3, Austin Dillon, literally the number 3. What? Austin Dillon led 55 laps last night, running up in the top 5, having a car that can compete for the race win. Where the hell has this been from the 3 team in Richard Childress Racing? First of all, Austin Dillon has had a very good regular season and a very good season overall. The Richard Childress team has definitely taken a big step up in their performance, of course, with the new Chevy body, and just Austin Dillon being paired with Justin Alexander is the perfect combination. When he had him for a couple wins in his early career, they were good. Then they split him up, and that performance from the 3 team fell off. They brought him back together this year, and they've been so good. They've been really competitive. Competitive in the top 10, top 15 a lot. But last night, they showed that their second place finish from Darlington a week ago was no fluke whatsoever. They literally had a strong car right in the top 2. At the end of stage 1, though, we had a penalty for speeding on the pits along with Denny Hamlin, but Dillon was able to fight all the way back to the front and finish second. And then the final stage, it looked like after a bad restart, he was picking his way back up, and it looked like he was going to run down Brad Keselowski. But in the second, aka final, green flag pit stop during the night, Austin Dillon missed the pit entry and had to go back around again. If he had made the pit entry that first time and he didn't miss it, he possibly could have contended Brad Keselowski for the victory. He could have run him down and given him a run for his money. But still, a solid performance by the 3 car, perhaps the best performance we've seen since his victory at Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, is it time to take the 3 car and Austin Dillon seriously? They're 36 points above the cut line going into Bristol this upcoming weekend. Most likely they're going to advance pending they don't have any problems, which I doubt it. And Austin Dillon made a comment going into the playoffs that this first round favors the 3 team the way they've been performing this year. They've been running well at some of these short tracks. They've done well at a lot of tracks that they struggled at last year. So the 3 team has definitely taken a big swing in the right direction. Is it time to possibly think Austin Dillon a possible Cinderella story to make it to the championship 4? I think championship 4 may be a little bit over the edge, but I think he could make the round of 8, people. All he has to do, obviously, is get away with a top 10, top 15 this weekend at Bristol, and he should be just fine. But Austin Dillon, man, wow. Kudos to that team and Richard Childress Racing. They brought their best cars to the playoffs in this opening round. They are killing it. Nobody saw us coming. I am eliminated. They're going to make it to the round of 12. They're outliving expectations by far. Number 4, Kyle Busch, our defending champ. He still hasn't won a race yet this season. Last night, he put together a fairly good run considering there was a little bit of drama in that 18 camp. After last weekend's race at Darlington, the 18 car had more than one lug nut loose on one of their tires post-race, and for that, crew chief Adam Stevens was suspended for this race, and they had to bring in their engineer. I forget his name, but he had to step in and be the crew chief for Kyle Busch. And in pre-race inspection, Kyle Busch failed 3 times, so he had to be sent to the rear of the field. But he quietly and methodically worked his way up through the field, got himself into the top 10 in stage 2, and he ran top 10 and towards the latter part of the top 5 for the most of the night. But at the end of the night, a 6th place finish is good enough. He's 18 points above the cut line going to Bristol, track he's been so successful at. Last night was a good result for the 18 car, all things considering, with not having Adam Stevens there and having to start the rear field for failing pre-race inspection. I still don't think Kyle Busch is a championship threat, but last night's run and a nice, quiet top 10 last weekend at Darlington possibly will help propel him into the round of 12. Then after that, if he makes it, he's going to have to win because other guys have more bonus points than he does, and it's going to be really difficult to try to get to the round of 8 without winning a race. He's going to have to win. It's the only way he's going to be able to have any chance to be in the championship 4 and defend his title from last year. And number 5, the bubble drivers. With one race to go, obviously, it's tightening up. And some guys executed last night. Some guys literally fell off a cliff. Now, first of all, let me just get to the bottom 2. Ryan Blaney, come on, everybody. We all know he was going to suck last night, and he did. Top 20 finish, 27 points back. Most likely he's going to have to go win next weekend. Not really most likely. He needs to win next weekend. But luckily, Bristol is one of his best tracks, so he'll probably win up there. Matt DiBenedetto, 17th place finish, a lap down. A little bit better than last week's performance at Darlington, but he's also in a must-win spot. He is 25 points below, and next weekend, he almost won the night race at Bristol last year. He could play, spoiler, he could be another Cinderella story. He could be the Cinderella story continuing through these playoffs. He got into the playoffs as a Cinderella story. He could get into the round of 12 as our Cinderella story still. So it's anything, it's up for grabs. Anything's possible. Cole Custer had a fairly quiet night. Ran in the top 10, top 15 for the most part. They kind of just stayed there for the most part. They're still outside the playoff line to advance by 8 points, which can be reachable. William Byron, though, after a 5th place run last week, they sucked last night. In his 100 start, and his crew chief, Chad Canals, making his 700 start as a Cup crew chief, they did not perform up to expectations last night. They were fairly good early on, starting in the top 5, and then they just dropped like a rock, and they never really recovered for it. It was horrible night for the 24 team. And Clint Boyer, who's former winner here at Richmond, I thought he would run better than what he did. He didn't know about the 10th place finish. He's 3 points above the cutoff line. It's going to be tough for Boyer. I mean, if he can make it out of the round of 12 and get in, he could possibly play a spoiler at some of these other tracks that he's good at, like Vegas and Talladega, and he's a good road course racer, the Charlotte Roval, but it's going to be a tough battle. It's going to be tough to see who advances next weekend. It's going to be up for grabs. It's Bristol. Anything's possible, but these bubble drivers are literally going to be fighting tooth and nail and surviving this upcoming race at Bristol this upcoming weekend to try to get into the round of 12. It's going to be a dogfight. That's all I have to say about that. Finally, driver recap. Chase Elliott, 5th place finish tonight. Super happy with his performance after last weekend and not getting a top 5 finish, let alone trying to win the race. Coming into this race, Chase Elliott's not one of his best tracks, though he has 3 top 10s here, a 9th place finish in the 2017 fall race, 2 top 5s in both 2018 races, 2nd in the spring, 4th in the fall, which was a really good performance. The last year, they didn't really perform too well at Richmond. Tonight, in the only race that we ran at Richmond this year, Chase Elliott actually gave us his best performance, I think, ever at Richmond. I mean, true, those 2 top 5 finishes he had in 2018 were better than he had last night, but last night he was consistently in the top 5, top 6, top 7 the entire night. Got stage points in stage 1, got stage points in stage 2, a 5th place finish. Totally happy with this result, absolutely thrilled, and he and Alan Gustafson were both happy after last night's race with a top 5 finish. 28 points above the cut line going into Bristol. I'm feeling really good about that. We just got to get some stage points in both stages, and if we get some stage points in both of those stages next week, I'm feeling pretty good about advancing to the round of 12, and a round that most likely he will advance all the way to the round of 8 because there's the Charlotte Roval in there. We all know how good Chase Elliott is at that track. But great performance last night for the 9 teams. So happy to come back from last week's issue with Truex. They both said they're fine. They have respect for each other. Both came in with good top 5 finishes last night. Couldn't be prouder of Chase Elliott. And he and Truex raced a little bit at one point last night. They respected each other, which that's why I have so much love and respect for Martin Truex Jr. and race Chase Elliott with respect, and I applaud him for that. So, this upcoming weekend is the last race in the round of 16 to try to get into the round of 12. The Bristol night race. Oh my goodness gracious, you couldn't ask for a better way to end the first round of the playoffs. The night race in Bristol, the first time ever this Bristol night race is part of the playoffs. This is going to be an absolute dogfight to the very end. 3 drivers already locked in, 2 of them on wins. Denny Hamlin clinched on points from Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, and Kyle Busch. You're feeling pretty good on points. Almirola, Kurt Busch, 7 points above, tied. You feel okay, but you have to gain more. But from Clint Boyer on down, it's going to be a dogfight. And I cannot wait for this race. I will be attending the Bristol night race this upcoming weekend. Even with all the COVID stuff, they are allowing some fans. I'll have to wear a mask, but I'll try to show my face to you at some point during the race. I'm not wearing my mask in the grandstand. That's not happening. I'm not doing that. That's a load of crap if they tell me you have to wear a mask in the grandstand. I'm not doing that, period. I'm wearing a mask when I'm going through security, going through check-in and all that stuff. But when I get to my seat, I'm not wearing a mask. I will bring you live coverage of that race. I'll have some snippets of the race. I'll film it for you, and then I'll have a race recap Sunday. I'm going to be driving to the hotel I'm going to be staying at Friday night to meet up with my father. My uncles are going to be there, and then we'll go to the track on Saturday, go watch the race, come back to the hotel room, and then I got to be on the road early Sunday morning, and I'll get back here, and I'll be recapping a little bit later in the night, but I'll have a recap for the Bristol night race this upcoming weekend. So cannot wait to go to the race. It's going to be so much fun. Who's going to advance? Who's going to get eliminated and see their playoff chances to make it to the round of 12 vanish? We shall find out. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So in the meantime, subscribe, like. Congrats to Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin for getting in via win and points last night at Richmond. And also, for you NASCAR fans out there, today, NFL is back. Just a quick point of reference, my Baltimore Ravens beat the crap out of the Browns because Lamar Jackson is electric and he is something special. Also, Tom Brady lost his new team. I don't like Tom Brady, period. I love Drew Brees. One of my favorite quarterbacks. And he played a good game. Brady, 2 interceptions. I'm disappointed. So that's all I have to say about the football thing. And anyways, enjoy your weekend. Hope you all enjoy the night race in Bristol. I hope to see some of you there if you are attending and watch my channel. I hope to see you there. Cannot wait for the night race in Bristol. Have a great week. It's Bristol, baby!